Hi, my name is Jayreid. I'm a psychotherapist in San Francisco, California. And today I'd like to talk about how the narcissist's experience of envy can lead to the abuse of people close to him or her. A prominent psychoanalyst, actually back in the circle of Freud in the early days, named Carl Abram, defined envy as a hostile feeling against the other person associated with the impulse to deprive him or her of what he or she possesses. I think survivors of narcissistic abuse are likely quite familiar with being on the receiving end of this kind of targeted deprivation and the sort of hostility that is felt coming from the narcissist in that effort to deprive them. Many survivors may not have known at the time that they were the object of the narcissist envy because of just how beaten down they may have felt, but they sure can relate to feeling watched and targetedly deprived of experiences that would lead to them enjoying their impact in the world, their independent existence, their reception they get to enjoy just based on the qualities they possess. That is something that lights up the narcissist's crosshairs and needs to be sort of destroyed. And I want to talk a little bit more about why today. So just to further the example, or what this can sort of feel like, I've seen a lot of cases where naturally sort of socially gifted people have had the experience of being forbidden from seeing friends, cultivating relationships outside their family homes as they were growing up. Excuses like, they didn't do a certain amount of chores they were supposed to have done, or they had responsibilities to the family that they were just shirking if they went off and enjoyed the company of their friends. Or they would just get sort of arbitrarily punished and grounded, which really prevented them from getting to enjoy and magnify the kind of gifts and qualities they possessed as the particular people they were in the world. In other cases, natural athletes were criticized by a narcissistic parent so much that they built up a real self-consciousness in trying to play a sport or train for a sport that it made the endeavors just feel ultimately unenjoyable, and they over time rescinded from getting to enjoy this quality of who they were, their sort of athleticism. In these examples, the socially gifted one, the athletically gifted one, certainly we could expand it to lots of different gifts that victims of narcissistic abuse possess that were likely targeted by the narcissist. Anyway, in those examples, one common thread is they result in the victim, as it were, survivor, standing apart and on his or her own from the narcissist. There's a gap, a separateness that is implicit there. And such displays of separateness and prowess in the world interrupt that veil or that state of merger that I talked about last week, that is so critical to the narcissist feeling is in place for him or her to feel cohesive enough in their very, very fragile emotional makeup. And I think that when the narcissist experiences the survivor to be separate in this regard, that it can very much put the narcissist in closer contact with that core sense of worthlessness. I believe at least they are constantly in the engaging in efforts to keep at bay. That it feels like an inner demon that cannot be slain and must therefore be expunged from the kind of, kingdom within. But it's a very fragile expunging and requires constant upkeep. So the worthlessness is also related to the resulting envy felt by the narcissist. So in this example, the survivor is acting separately and showing his or her prowess in the world. If that sort of makes the narcissist feel less dominant and less superior and less in control of this other person, and that evokes their own sense of deeply felt sort of impotence, futility, helplessness, and worthlessness. At the same time, the narcissist is regarding the survivor as possessing the qualities that he or she wishes he or she had. So you've got a sort of depleted state in the narcissist, and what the narcissist sees as a cup very full on the part of the other. And it's the fullness of that cup that the narcissist feels makes his pain even worse, his or her pain even worse. Very much like the evil stepmother in Snow White, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. It was Snow White's existence that really burned the evil stepmother and made her want, tell the huntsman to take her into the woods and bring me her heart. By the way, what I read at least was that the Snow White was initially, the mother was not a stepmother, it was the mother, but in one of the rewrites they changed it to the stepmother because it just would have been too dark. Nonetheless, whether stepmother or regular mother, unfortunately, and thankfully not that often, but nonetheless it does happen, a mother or a father can certainly hold that type of attitude towards a child in this kind of a way. So just like the evil stepmother, he or she will reason, the narcissist will reason that if the person acting separately and with prowess can be stripped of their independence and their sort of competence, then the narcissist will feel better. That the contrast of how depleted the narcissist feels and how full the survivor is will lessen, maybe even get to this. And that grows, I believe, at least, to be the motivation of the narcissistic individual. And I believe that motivation really sheds light and makes sense on the ruthlessness with which the narcissist will impose such efforts to deprive the survivor. Their envy leads them to sort of feel convicted that there is nothing wrong in trying to strip the survivor of their own sense of worth and independence. I think that the envy leads the narcissist to feel that the wrong that was done was this person's existence by being separate and feeling their own sense of worth. And I think a lot of the time, all this sort of logic I'm sort of laying out can happen unconsciously, so that the narcissist and tries to get the victim to join him in sort of seeing that this is just how things are. The victim doesn't deserve to feel good because it makes the narcissist feel bad. And if the victim fails to adhere to this rule, then the narcissist gets to make him or her pay dearly. So I just want to kind of lay out how envy can function, what it is, and I think how it can inform the concerted hostility and efforts of depriving the survivor of just his or her own separate sources of happiness from this sort of the veil of hyper-closeness and dominion that the narcissist insists on. Well, this week's video was sort of another installment designed to kind of peek behind the curtain in the kind of, you think of the Wizard of Oz, and maybe hopefully make a little more accurate sense of how and why one was the target of narcissistic abuse, either by a partner, friend, or parent. And the point isn't to just like spelunk into the psychology of the narcissist too deeply, but more to get the needed coherence or clarity, challenge the perceptions that the narcissist insisted on the survivor accepting at the time of the abuse, and then, very deliberately redirecting your attention back to yourself, right here, right now, back to the breath and what's important to you today. There remains this two-sided coin. On the one hand, the coherence of what happened and what transpired, and on the other hand, focusing on orienting to one's life today, efforts at caring for and meeting one's needs today. I really thank everyone for your continued support of this channel, and it really means a tremendous lot to read and hear how people have found these videos to be of some use. So thank you for taking the time to offer that feedback. And I look forward to posting again next week, Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care.